You will hopefully by now be aware of the main ways of decorating pottery once it's been bisque fired, and those involve using glazes. The glazes we have in school are brush-on glazes, and also if you want an overall colour effect, and also using underglazes where you approach your piece almost like a painting, where you can colour different areas, different colours. Another approach is the use of oxides, and these three pieces you can see are examples that have been decorated using oxides. One way that oxide is very helpful is if you have carved some lines, carved designs into your pot, and you want those to stand out, and you want to keep your pot quite simple. So you can see here oxide has been put in any carving of the design that has gone there. Another really useful way for using oxides is to show the texture. So any texture, so a simple design was in the last one, but here textures have been deliberately scraped and carved into this pot. And as you can see, the use of oxides helps you see the idea of texture and helps them stand out. And in this case, the intention was the person that made this was attempting to make this look like some kind of ancient artifact that had been dug up in an archaeological dig or something. So it's stayed matte, there's no clear glaze being put on that as the last one had. And again, this one, to create a more organic, natural look, oxide has been used in some of the areas, particularly the at back here, to create a sort of bark-like texture and help, again, accentuate that texture. Okay, so what I'm going to do very quickly is show you how to do this. So what you will need is some oxide. In this case, I have copper oxide, which is kind of a blacky brown. It will come out. So I'm going to put that into a small container like this. I'm then going to add some water, and then I'm going to use a paintbrush just to mix this up. So here I have my bisque fired pot, and as you can see there's a lot of texture at the top here in particular, and also the nature of this gives the suggestion of being an ancient artifact, so I think that'll work very well for this. I'm just going to do part of it. So what I'm going to do is brush over all the surfaces and really work in to all the crevices and carved areas. I'm just going to turn this around that way so you're able to see it. It doesn't matter if it runs. The most important thing is that it is absorbed into the pot and it gets into all the gaps. I'll do this very quickly. It's something you could take more time on. So let's get in all the gaps there. When using oxides, as I may have mentioned, it's important that you do wear gloves like this to protect your hands. As with most pottery materials, we have to be very careful. Let's just do this bottom edge. Okay. Now if I wanted this to look quite rough, I could leave it like that. Okay, but I want to show a little bit more detail. So I have my piece here. What I now need to do is to get some water in a larger container like this. And I'm going to wet it, use a sponge, squeeze out as much of the sponge as I can, and then start to wipe away the oxide from the surface. And again, you need to think about how precise how clean this needs to be. As I said, I want this to look a little bit like more of an ancient artifact. So I'm not going to smooth everything too much. Then adding a little bit more. I'm going to see if I can make the face a little bit cleaner. Okay, and as you can see already, that is what's happening. So again, I could keep sponging and taking away more of the oxide on the flatter surfaces if I wish. But again, as you can see, all the crevices and all the carving, the oxide has stayed in there. So once I've finished that, I decide whether I want to keep it. Once that's dried out, I can fire it. This is what it looks like, the kind of finish, if you don't put a clear glaze on. And as I say, here you can see what's happening when I put a clear glaze on top and I wipe away most of the oxide and only leave it in the crevices. Okay.